This week's parsha is Parsha Shelach, and the last part of the parsha speaks about tzitzis, which happens to do with the parsha. Why? What does the tzitzis have to do with the parsha? Right? You know how the tzitzis comes in. So, do we say in Shema every day? V'lo yisasuru acharei levavchem. It says right? We say in Shema that you should see your tzitzis. And you shall not follow your eyes.
You shall see.
You should see. Look at your tzitzis, and re'isem also. You should look and see your tzitzis, and velosasuru, and your eyes will not stray. Acharei levavchem, after your hearts. Acharei einechem, or after your eyes.
So that means you have to wear your tzitzis.
So that's why the idea of wearing the tzitzis is that we should see the tzitzis. We should remember that there's 613 mitzvahs on there, because there's tzitzis is the numerical value of tzadik yod is 200, and saf is 400, right? The value of the letters aleph is right, so it gets 400, right? 600, and then we have 8 strings, right? 8 strings,
right?
So that's 608. And 5 knots, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 knots. So you got 613. It reminds you of all the mitzvahs.
So what is farther more than inside?
There's different minhagim, different customs. But the point is, you should see them, and it should remind you of all the mitzvahs. Va'asisem osam. Va'asisem, and
you should do them.
And that leads you to do them. If you remember them, you do them. If you forget momentarily, then you forget. You might not do them. So that's the loisasuru. The spies, they spied out. They wanted to spy out Eretz Yisrael.
Right.
So here we have a little remez, a little hint of the same. You have to look at these other spies. The eyes are spies, and the heart is spies, and that could lead a person to do aveiros, because the heart spies out and sees what it wants to see, and the eye spies. So you have to keep your tzitzis to prevent you from doing the wrong spying. So that's just a nice idea. Now the Gemara, this is a very big Gemara Menachos, very important, about the mitzvah of tzitzis, because we know tzitzis is for all 4-cornered garments. We have to put tzitzis on. So the question is, let's read the Gemara. That's a fascinating story, and the Gemara is about Rav Katina. Here's the Gemara. The last paragraph on this side, or it's Menachos on Daf Mem Aleph. If you want to follow Mem Aleph, I'll show you exactly where it is in the Gemara. Here, it's by the gray line. 4 lines before the end of the gray lines. The first word on the line is anafshayu. Or you could see on the last paragraph over here. You could just read here. So it says there, upliga de malacha. That what? That it says that there was a malacha. There was a malach. An angel came and met Rav Katina. De mechasi sadina, and he was covering himself with linen. He was covering himself with linen. And linen doesn't, there's no mitzvah of tzitzis, of tcheles on linen, because tcheles, the Rabbanan said you don't put tcheles on tzitzis, because tcheles is the blue wool. You only put blue wool, not on the flax and the linen, rather only on white wool. So he was wearing it, and the Malach said to him, Amali Katina, what are you doing? You're wearing linen in the summer. His words were, why are you wearing sadina? Katina, sadina bekaita. You're wearing sadin. Sadin is these linen, which you're not obligated to put on the blue threads on linen. Right? Because there's different materials that you could put tcheles, the blue wool, right? The blue wool, really it says you should wear tzitzis. So really we put on tzitzis, but there's another part of the mitzvah which we don't do today. and that is the blue wool, the blue dye.
People wear, but people have it.
Some people think they have it.
No, it's approved, and in Israel it's approved.
Okay, so it's different customs. So, what
Many
is?
people think they have it.
There's different
They have
customs.
Someone has wool, piece of wool that's
No,
dyed
no,
blue.
it's now.
It has to be. Well, it has to be from the special fish.
Special
Called the
fish?
Called
The color comes from
fish.
called the chilazon.
It's a squid.
Special dye.
It's a special.
Yes.
squid.
Okay.
So the question is, where does it come from? Which one is the right one? So, and when you get that, you put it onto the woolen thread. One of the woolen threads, according to some machlokas, one or two, but you dye one thread blue. That's called tchelis, and that's part of the mitzvah of tzitzis. Part of the mitzvah of tzitzis, it says that we say every day in Shema, we say tchelis, right? Hakanaf, pisil, tchelis. You put it on the tzitzis of the kanaf. The kanaf is the corner. Pisil, tchelis, a thread of tchelis. So it's a part of the mitzvah. There's two parts to this mitzvah of tzitzis. There's to put on the tzitzis, and there's also an extra part of tchelis on the tzitzis. It's an extra part which some people don't do today because we don't know where it is, what tchelis it is. But even if you have it, you only put tchelis on. The rabbi said you should only put it if you have a woolen garment. You don't put tchelis on a linen garment, which has to do with the reason, right? You know what the reason would be for that? Just to go into a little bit of the
you're mixing because it's wool as well.
linen.
No, but wool techelet on wool tzitzit is fine.
That's fine.
Why wouldn't a linen techelet be okay
You're
for
not
a
allowed-
linen?
No, but
Not allowed
tchelis.
to have shadness.
But tchelis is wool.
It's always
I
wool.
thought that was
By
the color.
definition,
Oh, okay.
but it's blue wool dyed.
Okay.
It's a dye.
We
So then
thought.
it would be usher to do it with the.
Oh, right. Well, if you got the
Except for
right
the
one.
Kohen Gadol.
No, but one second. In the times of the Torah, what the Torah writes, in the times of the Torah said to put tchelis on tzitzis.
That would mean that
So
the
that
whole thing
means
is made out of
shadnets-
wool.
that means-
Even if it's on a Torah level, even if it's made out of
I thought it
linen.
was just the
So-
Kohen Gadol. The Gadim
That's
was
separate.
So
Separate
does
thing.
that mean shadnetz was allowed for tzitzit?
Yes.
During the time?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
And now no.
So nowadays the rabbi said we don't we're putter. You don't put tchelis on linen garments. So it came out that Rav Katina, he was wearing a linen garment. So the angel came to him and said, Rav Katina, why are you wearing a linen garment? Now you're exempting yourself from putting on tzitzis, from putting on tchelis. He had tzitzis on it, but he was missing part 2 of the mitzvah. He was missing the part of the tchelis for the mitzvah. Not only that,
Didn't you just say a minute ago that it was worn back then?
what?
With the techelet was worn with the mixture.
No, before the tchelis used to be worn before the rabbis came along. Before the rabbis
okay.
made the special enactment.
Okay.
But Rav Katina was, let's say, he was maybe an Amora,
Okay.
and he was later on. So at his time they didn't put tchelis on linen.
Okay.
They didn't put the blue wool on linen. So the angel came and saw Rav Katina wrapped in a linen.
You're cutting short your mitzvah, basically.
Right. He saw him wrapped in a linen garment. So he said, Rav Katina, why aren't you wearing a woolen garment? That way you could put on tchelis. Right? So he said, not only that, that's what you're doing in the summer. In the summer you're wearing linen. And in the winter, I know what you do also. In the winter you're wearing you take a 4-corner garment and you round off the corners. He used to take his 4-corner garment and he rounded it off. So if you don't have a corner,
Don't need to put tzitzit.
then you don't have any obligation to put tzitzis, right? If you ever see people who have like a bekisha or a long coat, so if the long coats that like big Rosh Hashivas wear, they have 4 corners, right? You noticed?
I never thought of it.
2 in the front and 2 in the back.
All right,
Yeah,
the splice, the
It's
cutout.
like in the
Like a
Like a suit,
tuxedo,
yeah,
like a
yeah.
tuxedo.
Yeah.
So what do they do? So you know what they do? In the
They're
back,
rounded.
they're rounded in the back.
They're rounded.
One of the corners you'll see is rounded.
It's the same thing why today in a jacket from the suit you also don't wear because you have either 1 or 2 cuts and the way you get the 4 corners, but the front is rounded anyway.
Right. Most jackets. Doesn't check out the jackets later.
Yeah, but you do if you have that, the cut or 2 cuts on the back.
Yeah, the cut has to be actually halfway up. Because to be a corner, it has to be, can't just be like a little slit, it has to be a slit all the way
Oh
up.
yeah, that's right.
So,
the ones with 2 cuts, that would be a 6-corner garment, no?
yeah, but 6-quarter garment could be obligated.
It's minimum 4,
It's
minimum
obligated,
4.
minimum
Yeah,
4.
yeah.
Okay.
So, Isur of Katina in the winter, and the angel said to Katina, why are you rounding off your garment? You used to have a 4-corner garment, and you rounded it off so you wouldn't be obligated in tzitzis. So let's look back at the words that he said to him. So he said, Sadina bekaita v'sarbala b'sisva. You're wearing, in the winter, you're wearing a wool and cloak with rounded garments, and in the summer you're wearing a linen wrap, which you can't put on tchelis. So you're trying to avoid mitzvos. So he said, when are you going to do the mitzvah of tzitzis? And he said, when are you going to do tchelis? Tzitzis shall tchelis matei Allah. What will be with that? You're not going to do the mitzvah of tzitzis? What's going to be?
Completely.
So, right, in the summer you're not going to do it completely, and in the winter you're not doing it at all.
At all.
So Amar Leitzer of Katina said back to him, what am I doing wrong? Say, einish, you're going to give me an einish for not doing this positive commandment? Am I doing anything wrong even? Right? Would you say he's doing anything wrong?
No.
Would you say he's doing something wrong?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
No. Because
Is stupidity
One
an
second.
excuse?
No.
What? One second.
Stupidity an excuse?
Which one?
No.
Or not knowing?
He knew.
It might not be punishable
He
for what he's
knew.
doing.
He knew what he was doing.
No, he knew what he was doing.
He knew. He was an
According-
Amora. He was visited by angels.
According to the Torah, mitzvah
Right.
was to
It might not be
garments
culpable
only. So he didn't
onesh,
have
but
the
Why not?
four-corner garment. In the winter,
If he's avoiding doing a positive commandment, he's not breaking the negative of it, then he's not considered punishable.
Was he culpable for not putting tzitzis on?
No.
No. But
Why not?
Because if you
Why is he
have-
not culpable?
he's hurting himself.
That's
Yeah.
true. He's hurting
hurting
himself by
himself.
not doing a
Yeah.
positive mitzvah.
Yeah.
But he's not, because if you don't have a four-garment garment,
And he's
you're
almost
not obligated to put it tzitzis. He didn't.
but to go out of your way to
Yeah.
put yourself in that position
That's it.
is also some kind of an avera. There's something called not putting an assembling block. This is almost doing it to yourself.
Yeah, but what are you doing wrong at the end of the day?
Okay,
You're not doing it.
so that's why he wouldn't be punishable for it.
Oh, so now let's look at the next line. I want to show you. This is very interesting how you're both taking on. Look at the Gemara, the last part of the gray line. So he told him, "You're going to give me an onus. You're going to give me a punishment, I say, for a conditional mitzvah, right? This is not a obligatory mitzvah like tefillin. Tefillin, you got to put on tefillin every morning. Hook or by crook, you got to put on tefillin, right? You have to, if you eat bread, you got to wash. It's obligatory.
Yeah.
You got to say Shema every day and every night. There's nothing to do about it. But that's not conditional. But since this is conditional, you need four-corner garment. So here, he didn't have four-corner garment. So what do you want from him? In the winter, he didn't have four-corner garment. In the summer, he had a garment, but it wasn't wool. So what do you want from him? He was not chayiv. He's not obligated in tchelis. Tchelis is only the blue wool you put on a woolen garment. So he said, So he said to the angel, what are you coming with complaints? I'm doing something that's so bad. I'm going to get punished. I'm going to get punished in heaven. They're going to punish me for failing to do a conditional mitzvah. It's like, let's say, I'll give you an example. Let's say there's a mitzvah to put up a fence, right?
Yeah.
If you're a construction,
Yeah,
if you're on the construction site, you have to make sure that if you have a building, any place where there's off the ground 10 tvachim, you got to make sure there's a fence and no one falls off. Let's say I don't own a roof. Let's say there's no roof, or there's no place where there's 10 tvachim. Some people have a place where they have to put a fence. There's some people that come out of their house and they have like a little edge, so you have to make sure there's a fence there. But let's say I don't have any edges. Let's say I don't have a roof. So I don't do the mitzvah of putting up a fence. There's a mitzvah to make a fence. Every person has to be careful.
Yeah,
but let's say I don't have a house. Am I doing something wrong by not? If I don't have a roof, am I doing something wrong by not putting up a fence? So that's his question. What's he doing wrong by not putting on tzitzis? That's his question.
And then on the roof, it's a flat roof. But today we don't put on our roof. It's not a flat roof.
What?
Today we don't
because we don't use the roofs.
In Israel, yes, some houses he do because they still make flat roofs.
Okay.
Here in the upper we don't because it's obligation for a flat roof.
Well, why is it obligation for a flat roof?
If people are going to be using it.
It has to do if people will go there, will be there, will walk on there. Nowadays people don't really walk on there, so therefore there's no obligation to put it on. It doesn't have to do with flat, but if people walk there. So he said, what are you punishing me for doing something which is just, it's conditional? So he said, the next line, right after the gray line, the last line of the gray line, Amar lei, in the middle line, right? You see there? You see where I'm up to?
Okay, yeah.
Bizmandik or rischa anshinan. Bizman, at a time, the ikka that there is rischa, there is anger in heaven, then onish, then they give an onish, they give a punishment. When he's doing something else wrong, then they will punish him for this also, which means for this alone you're right, there's no punishment. But if he's already doing something else wrong, this gets added in, and then the whole caboodle comes flying down on him. That's the Gemara. Now, let's see, is there any, there's no Rashi on this, so I'm going to explain to you what does that mean. We're going to have to go into this idea. Oh, so we have to keep on reading. Let's keep on reading. So the truth is, the Gemara itself speaks out. If you go another 5 lines down, the last word on the line is ki. That the question is, so, but what am I doing wrong? What is he doing wrong? He put on a talus which doesn't have 4 corners. So el achi kamalei titztiki lemiftar nafshach mitzitzis. You know why he's getting punished? Because he's doing titztiki. Titztiki means he's doing strategies. He's trying to get out of a mitzvah. Rashi, if you look at Rashi, right before it gets wide, 5 lines before it gets wide, El Ahachi Kamar. See that? You see the Rashi right here? Before it gets wide here, 5 lines. Amar El Ahachi Kamar le Titztiki lemiftar atmucha betitzis. Rav Katina, you're making strategies. In Yiddish they call it, you're making a kunst. Kunst is a trick. You're making a trick to get out of it that you're pater. So Rashi says, Tivakish tachbulos, you're looking for a type of trick, liftar atzmocha mitzitzis. So therefore he said, that's why they're going to punish you. Because you really should be doing a mitzvah, but you're getting out of it. Right? It's like they brought the meiser. You had to be obligated in meiser, you got to bring it through your front door. When you bring it through the front door. So there used to be some people who used to bring it through the window. So it's like a trick to get out of doing the mitzvah. So although he's not doing anything wrong by the letter of the law, but titztiki, we'll have to see what that means. So he's doing a strategy. So what's wrong? He's doing a strategy.
He's hurting himself.
He's hurting himself, but why should he get punished at a time of anger? So we have to see what he's doing wrong here. So there's a very interesting argument here.
I would think because in the file drawer of Averas, and you need a file drawer of mitzvot to counterbalance when there's assessments made, and by him not by him by him avoiding on purpose his building blocks of mitzvot.
Yeah.
He's damaging his life.
Yeah, but all he's doing is he's not going to have a positive mitzvah. Why is that?
But those help counterbalance the averas that people do for judgments.
It will counterbalance the Averos. That's true. Yeah, but why is he getting punished? Let's say he doesn't do Averos. Why is he getting punished for this? Did he do anything wrong?
But he knows what's right, but yet he's not following that.
So good.
Like,
that's true, but it's a conditional mitzvah. At the end of the day, it's conditional.
Okay.
So he did a strategy. So what? Okay, so he did a strategy. So he avoided a mitzvah. He got around the mitzvah.
but
He took the truma through the window. So now he got out of
what if he
being
starts
obligated.
doing that to other mitzvahs? What happens if it leads to him cutting corners on other things?
It depends. So we'll have to investigate each time what he's doing. If he's just cutting a corner, that he's not doing anything wrong, or if he's doing something wrong. If he's doing something wrong, that'll be a problem.
Yeah.
But he's not doing anything technically. By the letter of the law, he's not doing anything wrong. So there's an argument about this.
Yeah.
The first way to learn is the Mordechai and Tosfos. And they both say that the problem was that he really had a four-cornered garment on. He had a four-cornered garment, but he tried to get out of it. The problem was that he did this trick to get out of that. Right? Let me see where these. Give me 1 second. Because the question is, the reason I'm asking this is, I want to know if today someone has an obligation to make sure you wear the four-corner garment every day. Because, you see, Rev Katina, he was being held accountable because he didn't have the garment on every day. The winter, he wore a rounded garment, which means nowadays we don't really wear square garments, four-cornered. So do we have are we going to be held accountable for not wearing tzitzis? Because that's what Rev Katina did. He didn't wear tzitzis. And he could have got, right, he didn't have to round off his corner, right? So we could go buy tzitzis, right? You go to,
if they're there, if you don't wear them because of these cheating ways that you do, then it can't be, when you're saying the Shema, Lo Totur Einechem, like it's defeating, you have nothing to look at to remind you.
True, that's true, but that is only like, it's a good thing to do, but it's not one of the 613 mitzvahs to look at that. That's a good thing. It's a hint that the rabbis have told us about, but it's not one of the main. It's not a mitzvah. It's a good thing to do. So I'll tell you, there's an argument about this. The Shari Tshuva says, Rabbeinu Yonah, he says that if you don't, because of this Gemara, you see that you have to make sure that you go buy tzitzis. Go to the bookstore, go to the Sfarim store or the Judaica store, and buy a kosher pair of tzitzis, because Rev Katina also was held accountable for not making sure he had four-cornered garment on. So we have to make sure also, just like he was going to get punished, the angel told him he'll get punished for not wearing a four-cornered garment and putting tzitzis on it. So we have to make sure we're wearing four-cornered garment, or else we'll get punished. Even though you'll say it's a conditional mitzvah, you're right, it's conditional, but why are we making a titzdiki? We're trying to get out of it. We're doing strategies.
Is strategies considered also if you have a talit katan, you're wearing your four corners, and you have a jacket with four corners, and you don't have it on your jacket? Is that a strategy?
Well, as long as you have, if you're wearing one of them, then it's okay. If you're wearing one of them. In terms of the jacket, so people, the customers, they don't put tzitzis on, so that's fine to round it, as long as you're wearing the talis.
But what if you don't round it? That's what I'm saying. If you don't round it...
No. If you don't round off the jacket, if you have real four corners, you got to make sure you put tzitzis on. It doesn't exempt.
Doesn't...
No, it's not that one talis katan exempts all four-corner garments that you wear.
Okay.
Right? Once someone asked me this a few days ago also. No, that's not how it works. It's the tzitzis, the four corners of each garment need to have tzitzis on each garment. And if you have 4 corners, you have tzitzis on one 4-corner garment, that's good for that one. But you need tzitzis on the next 4-corner garment also.
Absolutely. We do towels.
What?
Everybody wears tzitzis talit katan, but when you pray in the morning, you put towels on.
Put the towels on. That needs its own tzitzis.
It's all tzitzis.
So Rabbi Yonah, he learns that Titztaki, Rav Katina was making tricks. He's making strategies because he was avoiding the mitzvah. He rounded his garment. So we have the same problem. Rabbi Yonah says that his problem was the problem that Hashem will punish is because why are you trying to get out of a mitzvah? Don't you appreciate the beauty of a mitzvah? Don't you appreciate the reward that we can get for a mitzvah? If a person appreciated what a mitzvah is and appreciated the beauty of it and the reward of it, then he would never round off a corner, and he would make sure to go to the store and go buy it. And therefore, that's the first view how to learn this Gemara. And according to that view, every person has to make sure that they're at all times wearing tzitzis a whole day, as much as you can, unless you're taking a shower or going swimming. You should try to wear tzitzis because it's a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah every minute. Every minute. It's a very easy mitzvah. I think it's a mitzvah kala. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's a light mitzvah because it's not expensive and it's very easy to do. You just wear it and you get a mitzvah just like that.
But it's by day only.
And it's by day. According to most authorities, it's only by day. That's the first view. Now, I will... Okay, very good. Very good. Yeah, you want to take that, or you want to take that and bring it back next week?
Is this your copy, though?
I have one more, I think, at home.
No, I don't want to take it.
No, take it and bring it back. Take it and bring it back. You'll be responsible. You'll bring it back.
Is this extras?
You can take it, yes. Okay. Now, I'll just tell you that there's one more view how to learn this Gemara. Very fascinating. And that view is that maybe it was only Rav Katina who was held responsible. I'll just tell you in one sentence that the Mordechai says a different view, that it was only Rav Katina who was held responsible because he had a 4-corner garment on and he rounded it off. So that's Titztaki. He made strategies. He made loopholes. Right. But maybe someone who doesn't have a 4-corner garment, just because they don't go to the store and buy it, that's not doing strategies. That's the argument that maybe today it's not called if someone doesn't go buy it. That's not, he won't get punished. He just won't get a mitzvah. That's the second view. Second view is the strategy, the loopholes that he's trying to do is only for someone who has it and he rounds it off. But if you don't have a 4-corner garment, it was only in those days they used to have 4-corner garments. Nowadays we don't have 4-corner garments. So for now, if you have a 3-corner garment, then you don't have any 4-corner garments. So you're not doing anything against the Torah. You're not even making strategies. You're not making strategies. That's the way your garment comes, with 2 corners. So is that you're doing a trick? You're not doing a trick. So the Mordechai therefore says that he's not going against the actual words of the Torah. He wouldn't even be punished. He wouldn't even be punished. It's not like he's not making strategies. He's wearing what he bought, what he has. He only has these types of garments. And therefore, you have to investigate to see how the Shulchan Aruch rules and how the Torah rules, because it's best to be safe. To be safe, you want to make sure that you get the mitzvah, and you want to make sure that you don't do anything wrong. So you have to see how they rule. And it says you have to check out the exact words, how the Torah rules. So the Torah says in Siman Chav Daled, Afal pi she'ein adam chayev liknais talis bas daled canvas. You don't have an obligation to go buy a 4-corner garment. You don't have a mitzvah from this Torah, buy a 4-corner garment, in order that you should then be obligated in tzitzis. Rather, if you happen to have a 4-corner garment that you're wearing, you better make sure there's tzitzis on it. Then you're obligated. Then the mitzvah kicks in. But the Torah writes, Mikol makom tov v'nachain. It's good and it's proper Liyos kol adam zahir v'zarez b'mitzvahs tzitzis. It's good and proper for every person to try to have tzitzis. She'i aloi beged katan. You should have at least, like we have, maybe you don't need a big talis, but to have a small talis, a tzitzis, which has tzitzis on it. She'yil b'shoysa kol hayayim, that you could wear a whole day. Because the main mitzvah of tzitzis is the chiras ha-mitzvah, to remember all mitzvahs, to remember all the mitzvahs. Ubechol shah, bechol rega tzarich lekach. So the Torah says that being that the mitzvah of tzitzis is to remind yourself of all the mitzvahs, so if you're not going to wear it a whole day, you won't remember all the mitzvahs. So you only remember about the mitzvahs when you put on your talis gadol and you go to pray. So he says that you're going to defeat the purpose. He gives an example. He says that it's like he warns his friend about something, and he tells him to tie a little knot on his, maybe to tie on the finger a little knot to be a reminder. So that's a reminder. So therefore, we try to remember the 613 mitzvahs. So therefore, he says a person should try to get a talis. That's what the Torah writes. So it seems from the Torah that he's going like the Rabbi Yonah, because he tells you that you should try to buy one, even though you don't have to. But at the time of anger, Hashem will then take retribution on if he wasn't careful about other things and he didn't search after mitzvahs. So that seems to be the argument, how to learn up the two ways. And the Torah seems to be learning that even though we don't have four-corner garments, we still should try. According to everyone, it's a good thing to try. But the Torah seems to say that you should be zahir v'zarez, you should be careful and very quick to go by it. Because he says it's a big mitzvah, and he says since it's one of the things which has a reward equal to all mitzvahs. So therefore, that's how the Torah writes. The Shulchan Aruch, you'll tell me how you think the Shulchan Aruch rules, because the Shulchan Aruch, when he brings this down, he quotes the following words. It says if a person doesn't put on tzitzis with four corners, he doesn't have any obligation. So he says, Tue Jun, it's good and proper for every person to be careful to wear tzitzis and talis a whole day to remember the mitzvahs. So how does that sound? Right? It sounds to be a little bit like this Rabbi Yonah, that again, Tue Jun, it's good and proper that a person should wear the tzitzis. So the Vilna Gaon over here says, he brings down the Gemara that you shouldn't do strategies. He brings down the idea that Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to go into Eretz Yisrael. Right? He prayed, why did he pray? Why did he want to go into Eretz Yisrael? So the idea is because he wanted to do mitzvos. So you see that a person should always desire to do more mitzvos, even if you're doing your mitzvah now, but you could do more mitzvos. So Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to do mitzvahs of the land, right? You know which mitzvahs you could do? You go into Eretz Yisrael, right off the bat. You could do Truma, Meiser, Shemitah, Arla. So therefore he says, he brings down this idea, if you're able to, he brings down the Vilna Gaon brings from Rabbeinu Yonah that idea that we spoke about, that your eyes shouldn't stray. So the same idea, that's why you want your tzitzis. So he says, that's the idea. That it's proper for a person to buy the tzitzis like Rabbeinu Yonah. That's how it seems to be how he's ruling. That because if he would be ruling like the Mordechai, then you're not doing anything wrong. We don't have a four-corner garment. What am I doing wrong? I don't have four corners. I'm not rounding any corners. You see from the fact that he says, no, Tue Jun, it's good that you should go out and go buy a four-corner garment. You see that he's ruling like Rabbeinu Yonah, you should go and get mitzvahs, because if you don't, there's a claim and a complaint on a person. What's the complaint? What did he do wrong? The claim is he doesn't love the mitzvah. He doesn't love the beauty of the mitzvah. He doesn't love the beauty of the schar. You realize for every mitzvah we do, we're going to get reward. In Olam Haba, we'll get to be close to Hashem. Could you imagine? We don't understand what it means, but the reward is unfathomable. So a person doesn't, we have to think about it. You should try to imagine it, because that's really why we want to do the mitzvahs, to get a lot of reward. So a person who doesn't go to the store and buy the tzitzis, that means he doesn't really desire the reward of the mitzvah. He doesn't desire the mitzvah. He doesn't want the beauty of the mitzvah. He doesn't want the closeness to Hashem. That is a complaint against a person. So he might not have a problem of wearing the wrong garment. He might not have a problem that he's not putting on tzitzis, but he has a different problem. His heart is messed up. He doesn't have the right desire to desire mitzvahs. So he's going to get, God holds it against him that his heart doesn't have the right desire to love the mitzvahs and to pursue them.
So is there mincha in here?
Yeah, we're going to have it in 1 minute. They're going to. I'm not sure what time is mincha.
In 2 minutes.
2 minutes, yeah. So that's the two views. According to Rabbi Yonah, he will be held accountable for not having the right desire to do mitzvahs. So we see here, it's not only about the action.
Yeah.
Rabbi Yonah is saying it's about the fact that he didn't love the mitzvah, he didn't desire the mitzvah. That's why Hashem will punish him at a time when he does something else wrong. Or he actually speaks out at a time of sorrow, a tragedy. Let's say there's a big flood or something, or something that's a big they had a big flood. So then a person's life is in danger, and then the angel goes up to God and said, this person's in danger, we have to save him. So he's put on the heavenly court, and he's weighed, can he be saved or not? Every time a person jaywalks across a busy street, his life is being weighed. He's using up merits, possibly, if he needs to be saved. That's called a time of sorrow, time of danger. And then already it's not so simple anymore. He's in court, right? If you don't jaywalk, you're not in court because you're not in danger. So they don't have to measure up, is it his time yet? But if he's already jaywalking, if it's a dangerous position he's putting himself in, then he's on trial, and then God will say, oh, there's one more thing. He didn't desire the mitzvahs. Where was his chomed? He should have desired mitzvahs, desired the beauty of Torah, the beauty of mitzvahs, the reward. He should have looked for the mitzvah. Why didn't he pursue the mitzvah? That is something that can be held against him at that time, and it will be held against him, and therefore a person should try to have mitzvahs, try to do the tzitzis, try to pursue whatever he could do. That way it will hold for him in good stead, and it will not be held against him in time of tragedy or tzara.